Hi guys, you're very welcome to this channel, narcscon. On this channel, we believe in educating ourselves in relation to narcissism. Guys, for the next few weeks, I'm going to run a series called the Narcissist Chronicles, where I'll read a subscriber's, a member of our community's story and just give it a bit of analysis because you may relate to it, in real life terms. So take a minute to like, subscribe and share the video if you do, and let's get straight into it. So it's a long comment, but bear with me. I was fascinated. I couldn't stop reading. So here it goes. So first of all, it says, "Hi, Paula. Firstly, I want to say you're a wonderful, articulate woman." This is from an Irish person with a beautiful home too. This is important. "I listened to your story about your narc and how he wanted rid of your dog, Remy. That's bizarre and awful. I've a beagle myself called Cooper. I've watched lots of your videos the past 2 weeks as I believe I've been a victim of a narcissistic relationship 5 months this year." So the reason he said about the nice house was that my narcissist had criticized the house. So you've really listened to a lot of the videos because that's pretty way back. "So I've watched lots of your videos the past 2 weeks. Yeah, I've said that already. Sorry. I'll try keep my story short as I can hopefully you can get time to read it." He says where he's from, but just for reasons of anonymity, I'm just not going to say. So he said, "I met a foreign girl this year in March, and in Ireland, it's a non-native. We'd usually call it foreign. So, okay, in March, who had lived here for 10 years. At the start of the relationship, I got all this love bombing you speak of, which I thought was just her being nice. I was flattered with compliments constantly at how great I was at being this wonderful boyfriend in inverted commas. Within weeks, she told me she loved me. Red flag. Which seemed crazy and way too soon. So we know that it's crazy. We know it's way too soon, but they're quite irresistible words sometimes and we can get swept off our feet, but it is a red flag. She did lots of nice things for me, and of course I wanted to help her as she was struggling with a place to live in Dublin with the cost of rent. In fact, I helped her move 4 times in 3 months, and I did plenty of nice things for her too. Sometimes I'd collect her from work with some flowers and Prosecco. I found her exciting and we had great experiences for the first few weeks. We would go to a sea point to swim often, and she taught me how to fish. I taught her how to play pool and share my interests and pastimes while learning about hers. I did notice she would often copy my interests, mirroring, and copy my interests, mostly even wear my t-shirts regularly, to which all sounded like she was really into me. She was fun to be with and not afraid to try new things. She painted a lot and even painted a small portrait of me and my dog, which I was taken aback with how kind she was. But I started to notice how unstable her life was and her erratic personality. She could possibly have been a borderline, but let's get into it further. She would move jobs regularly and places to live, and had very little belongings." Now, guys, you'll often find that narcissists live a pretty unstable life, and it's often to do with them falling out with people or the people copping onto them pretty quickly, and they have to move. So it's not choice-driven, it's because of their actual personality. But again, this person sounds a bit borderline. She had very little belongings. She was highly sexual and demanding of it at times. I'm just going down the screen here. "My first red flag was me having to insist on using protection, as she admitted to not being on any contraceptive herself." Now that's another kind of irresponsibility around sex and getting very intense sexually very quickly in a relationship. It's another big red flag. Both women and men do this. This is definitely a female ploy as well with men. The female narcissist will really hone in on sexuality. Okay, so he insisted on her using them using contraception. I moved her in with a friend of hers in a place in Dublin in July, who let her stay after she had more problems with a landlord. I found her irresponsible at times, basically one step away from being homeless she was. I started to make some boundaries at this stage as she wanted to see me more and more. I told her I need time to myself sometimes to go to the gym and work, etc., which I felt I'd not been concentrating on anymore. Now, you're being healthy with yourself quite early on in the relationship, which a narcissist wouldn't like, and which isn't the normal way that people get trapped in the relationships with the narcissist. They get head over heels in the love bombing stage, and they don't actually put that kind of boundary in, which is a healthy, regular boundary, and a healthy, regular person would totally respect it. In fact, would even find you more attractive because you had a life that you were interested in living and you had your own interests. Okay, I started to make more boundaries, which I felt I'd not been concentrating on anymore, your own life. Narcissists want you to lose your identity, so they would not like this. I felt I was losing my sense of myself and smothered. So this person was moving in very quickly and might have sounded some red flags and alarm bells with you because of the speed. She may not have been as sensitive, or she may have been a bit more desperate than narcissists would normally take their time and would assess the situation. And if you were getting they thought you were getting a bit smothered, they would pull back. So it's not always, people aren't always as aware or as in tune with their own interests in life, and can often get bamboozled at this stage, giving the narcissist all of themselves and all their attention. Seeing her now felt like a chore. Anytime I said no to her, she would really get annoyed with me and tell me that I don't appreciate her, that she is what's important. Ooh. I'd started to lose attraction in her because of the constant attention seeking at this point. One Friday night in July, I went in to see her. She asked me to drop her to a friend's house in a part of Dublin. She never mentioned anything about these friends to me before. I dropped her to the house and went home. I thought something is off here. She joked when I dropped her off and said that I've a key to this place and to another place, but I don't have a key to your place yet. This was another red flag to me, and things were moving way too fast for me at this stage. The following morning, she randomly arrived at my house. She had walked up from the place he had dropped her off. I made her breakfast and we went out to swim again and down to Bray and spent a nice weekend together. Monday morning, she texted me and asked me to come see her that night. I said, look, I want to go to the gym tonight, and we had just spent the whole weekend together. She didn't like this, and I felt like I was getting ultimatums again at this stage. We argued and I ended it, as nothing was enough for her. Nothing was enough for her. This is another huge red flag with narcissists. No matter what you do, you can't seem to please them. He'd spent the whole weekend with her, like in the early stages of the relationship, and she wanted to see him again, keep the intensity up on Monday night so you don't get a chance to breathe. But thankfully, you know, your other interests were important to you. So you saved yourself with this, actually. It's always important to remember our own lives are just as important as a narcissist or any other person's life. And it's really important to keep a sense of ourselves, and it actually can save us where narcissists are concerned. Okay, I ended it as nothing was enough for her. Then there was no contact. The next few days I felt relief I'd ended it and free. The following weekend, I just have to move the screen a bit there, guys, sorry. The following weekend, Sorry, this keeps popping up. My cousin happened to be in a place in Dublin at a birthday party in the pub there and spotted her with a guy. I gave her the benefit of the doubt and said it might be just a friend. Okay, at that stage, but wasn't sure. Another few days passed and my brother spotted her hanging around the bottom of my road with a guy, which was weird, I thought. My brother said, I think it's a gay friend from the appearance and body language of the man, respectively. I thought, okay, this is odd, could still be just a friend. We were still in no contact and another week passed. Then she started constantly posted awkward looking pictures with this guy on social media of them kissing, even painted a portrait of them. I thought, she wants to make me jealous with some guy. That's a friend. About 2 weeks later, I drove to a hospital in Dublin for an appointment through the area that she'd been seen with. And I saw it for myself. 2 of them holding hands coming out of the house that I had dropped her to with the friends and crossing at the lights. It was awful. This obviously wasn't a gay friend. My gut instinct was right. I got such a sinking feeling when I saw them together. I still couldn't understand why they came to my road weeks earlier, though. She went from a great person to an evil one the moment I saw them. But they didn't see me drive by. More time passed of no contact, but I said I have to reach out and find out what was going on with her. Yeah, unfortunately, when we get no closure and there's no explanation and we see something shocking like them moving on to another person, it's so mind-boggling that we often need to find out, we need to find an answer from them, which they're never going to give us, but we have to give ourselves our own closure. Okay, where were we? 2 of them holding hands together. Oh yeah, but I said I have to reach out and find out what's going on with her. I don't want to lose a good person over what's maybe just a mix-up. Maybe she was right and I should have had more time for her, I thought, and I began to miss her company. So it's that intensity that they give us, initially, that when they go, it's like a big shock because we go from full-on attention seeking and spending time with someone to flatlining, really, and all our hormones are all over the place because we've been having such a good time with them. So it is a shock, and when you're left with the no contact, and then you're left with the triple shock effect of them being with someone else, you can start to make excuses for them, and you can start to rehear the words they used, at the discard stage or when they were devaluing you and criticizing you. And like this guy here who wrote in, he's saying he began to think, well, maybe she was right and that he hadn't spent enough time with her, whereas all he was doing was having very healthy boundaries. Okay, and I began to miss her. I needed to know for myself. I sent a sincere, upbeat voicemail to her and asked how she is. All she replied was, I'm great and I'm getting married. Whoa. I said to myself, WTF. I guess you can make that out, guys. What the... After 2 months, I made light of it and asked, could I come to the wedding? She never addressed any of my questions about being seen in the place in Dublin by my cousin days after we broke up or being on my road. Then she just replied, I'm in Italy in his parents' house. Sorry, my computer's jumping again, guys. I'm in Italy in his parents' home and sent what looked like a screenshot of an extremely expensive villa in Italy with a pool. And nobody was even in the pictures. Okay, I joked. So like narcissists are pretty good at doing a PR job on a total lie. So she picked a picture out of a magazine and sent it. Like they do these kind of things, but because we're not used to people doing this extremely manipulative lying to us, it's hard for us to actually get our heads around it. I joked and I said, I hope you get the key to there. It looked like she wanted to get back at me and she had no interest in engaging in the texts. I think she copped on I was being cynical about a wedding and being in Italy. Then she basically grey-rocked me with no more information. I said, look, let's stop playing games, that I was sorry if I hurt her when I ended it. She laughed it off and she basically told me to go and do something unpleasant. I called her out on being deceptive and being a narcissist and blocked her straight away. So yeah, I got no closure, no answers, just games. One thing stood out to me, and it was that she never asked me how I am, just about how amazing he is, which showed she didn't care one bit. I've been back exercising, but it's hard to stop reminiscing over the good times. I don't even like to go to places I used to bring her now because I'm reminded. In time, I'll date again. It's very disheartening too. Your videos have been great in me understanding this type of person. I always thought narcissist was just a word thrown around by people. These days, I'm looking forward to your next video. But to be honest, I need to stop ruminating and watching stuff on the matter. I've learned and now I'll move on. I'm generally very positive as I exercise most days, which clears my head. I've enjoyed lots of your work on YouTube recently and it helped me get perspective and some peace of mind. I'd love to hear what you think about my recent scenario. Thanks from, and you sign your name and a smile. Well, you know, reading it like that, we're probably, because we know about narcissists, we're all probably saying, hey, man, like that was pretty obvious, you know, when you saw her with another person and, you know, she wouldn't give you any space and she, you know, wanted to move things along very quickly and all those things, that it was pretty obvious. But guys, it's not pretty obvious when you're actually emotionally involved with the person and, you know, you're in the relationship, you're seeing them and it's on a day-to-day basis. In retrospect, you can see things more clearly, and especially if you're educated about narcissism and the narcissistic personality disorder, and you see the patterns and the abuse cycle and you understand them. But obviously a lot of people don't. So that's why we have to get the word out there. We've got to get this information out there so at least people are informed. And if somebody does start to push you really quickly at the beginning of the relationship, or want to use up all of your time, or get very intensive sexually very quickly, or not take responsibility sexually, like not use protection in the initial stages, that tells you a lot about a person. Moving from job to job very quickly, a huge lack of stability, and then actually, you know, I suppose being lucky enough to see them with another person, because that gives you less time to be messed around and played with. So this person was actually probably grooming 2 or 3 people at the same time and was looking for a very quick fix and was looking probably to get married quite quickly. So the person they opted for was the person that didn't put boundaries up and was going to, you know, go ahead and fulfill their criteria of being a good supply for longer. So I hope that gave enough analysis of what was actually going on for you. It's a good idea to really get the education and understand what you've been through, and then to do like what this person does, continue living your own life and doing something that's really good for you, like exercising. And in time, the rumination does get less with the education and with you working on yourself. I promise you, you will come to so much better of a place after this, but it is a painful experience to go through. And thank you so much for sharing that in actually the comments. It wasn't an email. So guys, if anyone else has a similar story or even a very different one, that you believe you were with a narcissist and you can see a pattern of behaviour and you would like it to be read out with in an anonymous way, sorry, I'm tricking up over that word, without your identity being revealed, but just giving a generalized version of your story may help others relate to your experience. Bye for now.